next speaker, and I realize that we're coming closer to lunchtime, but I think it's still very interesting to hear Douglas and Ken speak. Douglas was speaking about pearls from Mexico, which are actually a species that is only found there, and he is the only pearl farm in all of North and South America. So something quite unique.
Good afternoon. My name is Douglas McLaurin. I'm the Mexican with the Scottish name. And like Laurent appropriately introduced me, I'm one of the owners and founders of Perlas del Mar de Cortez, the only marine pearl farm in the entire American continent. I am really happy today to be here in this great city of Hong Kong. And I have to thank Salim, Julie, and Laurent for their incredible support. When we began our pearl culture program back in the 1990s, we definitely believed we had to follow a sustainable approach to pearl farming. This talk will give you some information about what we're doing in Guaymas now. Okay. Mexico, a lot of people don't know this, but my country was one of the world's main producers of pearls. For only 380 years, we were #1. But we, of course, had 480 years of continuous production. In order to have this #1 position, that means that you must perform a genocide on pearl oysters. So, also, our pearls were the first true South Sea pearls. Look at that map. What does it say there? Mare del Sur, South Sea. The pearl fisheries in Gulf of California, we depended basically on slave labor, which is not very agreeable for sustainability these days. Those guys over there are Yaqui Indians. They were considered to be the best pearl divers in the region. They're from my state, Sonora, and some of my workers today are descendants of those same pearl divers. In those days, the pearl beds were incredibly abundant. But by 1940, they were fished out, and at that moment, the Mexican government decided something had to be done to protect the pearl beds. It only took almost 500 years to do this, but we know politicians. So, what species of oysters we have in the American continent? We have actually 4 species. And in the case of the Pintara pearl oysters, here we have the 2 native species, Pintara masatlanica to the left, which is found from the Gulf of California to Costa Rica in South America. And on the right side, we have Pintara imbricata, which is found from Florida in the United States, all the way down to Brazil. Of course, Pintara masatlanica is a big oyster. It can measure up to 20 centimeters in diameter, so it's a big blacklet. And the other one is a small pearl oyster. And then we have the Perlas. So we have Perlas externa from Baja California. Has been found occasionally to be invasive in California in the United States during a Niño year, so we will probably see it next year in California coast. And we can find it all the way down to Peru, but it was in the Sea of Cortez where this species was found in great abundance. The other pearl oyster species, Teriacolibus, found from North Carolina in the United States down to Brazil. And the 2 species that were the subject of the most intensive fisheries, at least in Mexico, were the ones from the Pacific because of their sheer size and abundance. Now, the causes of the local extinction of these pearl oyster species are many. The first one, the most important, of course, overfishing. The Spaniards and then us Mexicans were really efficient. And then natural environmental changes. Whether the environment changes. But of course, man has a lot to do. And in the case of 1939, I believe this marks a special moment because Hoover Dam was built in the United States. And the water from the Colorado River that used to flow for millions of years into the Sea of Cortez suddenly came to a trickle. And this was like releasing an atomic bomb in the environment. So at that moment, many species of commercial animals disappeared, including pearl oysters and also the giant totuaba fish. So that's the moment they disappeared, 1940. That's when the politicians finally said, yeah, stop pearl fishing. Now, Cortez pearls, that's how we call our pearls. And natural and cultured pearls are once again available here in the Gulf of California, or Sea of Cortez. We have the only commercial saltwater pearl farm in the Americas. Here you can see a beautiful drop pearl from our Oyster. And this is the oyster we are using to grow cultured pearls, which makes us really special amongst pearl farmers, because most pearl farmers employ what? Pintada. And we use pega. We call this oyster the rainbow-led pearl oyster because of its unique coloration. We are growing 200,000 pearl oysters in our farm every year. We have an extremely limited production. I mean, James Caspady was saying that most pearl industries usually suffer from overproduction. With a production between 1.2 to 3.8 kilos per year, we're not suffering that problem. Also, we were considered to be in the Fair Trade Gems list, the only pearl in that list. We began with a research stage in the early 1990s. The team was led by Sergio Farel, with the mustache over there, Enrique Arismendi, Manuel Nava, and myself. And we were researching everything. I mean, from survival rates, culture system, reproduction, growth rates, and pearl culture. Everything at the same time, with an incredible amount of funding of 1,000 American dollars, if you can believe it. In Mexico, money has to work. That's where the research took place. That's Campus Gardens of Tec de Monterrey, located in our beautiful bay called Bacochimpango. You can say it, we'll give you a pearl, Bacochimpango. Here you can see where we have the dock where the land-based operations are found, and a view of the farm, of course, with our friendly local pelicans. In 1982, the first thing we did was conduct a pearl oyster census. We didn't know how many oysters were in the bay. So we evaluated them, and all that area was examined, especially the islands where more pearl oysters were found, and we only found 88 black lips. Only 88 Pintada Mazatlanas. And we found 54 rainbow-led oysters. That's it for the entire area. And according to many scientists, it is said that you need at least 10 oysters per square meter in order for them to breed properly. So when you see these amounts, you can immediately say, no, those amounts were not there. So the oysters were not breeding. This is another view of the farm. And unlike the pearl farm in Tahiti that Robert One was telling us, we live in a very comfortable zone. I mean, I can drive to my house 5 minutes from here. We have internet, we have cable TV, everything. So that's Bacochimpango here. And in that area of 4 square kilometers or 400 hectares, we only use 2 hectares for the pearl farming operation, or basically 0.5%. Of the year. Now, these are the blacklips, how they are found in the environment, living on rocks. And in that census, basically, we found 0.022 oysters per square meter. And in the case of the Perlas, which inhabit fan corals, we found 0.135 oysters per square meter in that bay. So you can imagine the oysters were not able to breed. They would never make a comeback. So now we started the pearl farm. What happened? We started having very few negatives. I still have to find them. But we found many positive effects. The first is that when we started growing the oysters, we housed them in our pearl culture structures between 40 to 300 animals per square meter. So in that way, oysters were breeding effectively. Some people would say they were having orgies. And this led to pearl bed replenishment and to species recovery. Also, the pearl farm acts as a floating reef. The cages protect many other species of invertebrates and fish that live inside of it. So it started attracting biodiversity to our area, which is incredible. And the other thing, we said we don't want fishermen here. So we decided it was a no fishing zone. We don't have the legal status for this. In Mexico, things are very complicated. We have politicians, you know. But we convinced people by telling them that we have the rights, that, yeah, we have the right, you're out of this area, and they believe us. So, a way that you can see the positive effects is through spat collection. You know, spat collection is gathering baby oysters. In Mexico, it is illegal to fish adult pearl oysters. So all pearl farming has to be done with a supply of natural spat. So in essence, we could say if we catch a lot of spat, that means there's a lot of reproduction happening. So let's see this table. In 1992, when we placed our first experimental spat collectors, we found 2 spats per collector. But 1994, we were collecting 35. 2010, not available. We do not grow blackers. Okay, so we stopped gathering them. But look at the rainbow lips. In 1992, we were catching 6 baby oysters or spats per collector. 1994, 220, which was incredible for us. But look at 2010, on average 10,000 oysters per spat collector. When we were taking them out, it looked like the spat collectors had a disease, which was a beautiful disease. Now, in the case of black lips, they do something that we call piggybacking. They attach on top of the rainbow lips. And although we do not collect pearl oysters, the black lips, the spat collectors, they do this piggybacking. And this is something interesting. In the year 2011, we were catching some 500 pearl oysters, piggybacking, 212, 421, in 2013, 927. And this means that the black lips are also coming back. 2012, a census again. But we wanted this time to be external, not us saying. So we have a local NGO, environmental NGO called COBI, Comunidad de Biodiversidad, led by a friend, Dr. Cortez in Guaymas. And he conducted a new census. And just in the area that surrounds the farm, we have an excess of 6,000 blackbirds in the water. I mean, we're not seeding them, we're not placing them, we're not taking care of them. It's just natural abundance. Also, there's an unknown quantity of rainbow lips in the area. Why? Because the coral forests were destroyed. Some years ago, the Mexican government gave the permits to fish whatever the Japanese wanted in that area, and they came in, all the corals were destroyed. Now, in our farm, Kobe also found that we have 23 species of large fish living there constantly, 22 species of large invertebrates as well, and of these, 5 species are in Mexico's protected list. So that means that we have 5 species that are endangered that live in my farm. Also, they found this, a massive rainbow lip pearl bed north of Guaymas. It measured 66 kilometers in length. 66 kilometers in length. That means millions of rainbow lips. This has not happened in the Sea of Cortez since the time of the Spaniards. The Spaniards would say the same. They would say that the pearl beds were as big as some 10 leagues. So this is roughly the same thing. Why now? Because now we have a pearl farm that is exporting larvae. Larvae may travel up to 170 kilometers, so they may be a product of our farm. The only way we could be able to tell this is with genetic traces. Other findings, rainbow lip beds stabilize the sea bottom, allowing for many sedentary species to grow. They act as a reef, offering fish a place to hide. And many other species depend on these oysters to survive. For instance, this is Eliastic cugini. It's a species that was found very commonly in Guaymas area, and then disappeared some 20 or 30 years ago. And then we're starting to see a lot of them living in our farm. Why? Well, I see them eating up the black lips. So if you remove a species, you will remove many others. Bring it back, you will have them back again. This is a pea crab. It's only found in Perlas and you see them again in our farm. And this last fall here, this little fish, the pearl fish. So it's found in Perlas. So this is a view for farm again. We have this no fishing zone, which this is a new figure in Mexican laws, but it can only be used in certain sites like islands, so it doesn't apply to our farming area. There's a new figure in Mexican laws that is coming up, hopefully, called Special Marine Refuge Area. And we're trying to apply for that. We're vying with the government for many years so we can get this status for our farm. And so the species that I told you about, they will thrive here, they will breed here, and hopefully they will go back into the Sea of Cortez and replenish it. That's our idea. So in essence, we have become sea shepherds. Okay. How do we do all of this? Well, we receive no funding from the municipal, the state, nor federal governments. We're entirely private. We did get some funding from Sustainable Pearls, the Tiffany and Co. Foundation. We're very thankful to them. Also, we have support from international vendors. I would really like to thank Raw Pearls in Adelaide, Australia, Diane Smith, a great person that I owe a lot to her. Mark Harit in Denmark, here's Kira Kaplan. And many others from the United States. And so basically, 99% of our funding comes from our pearl and jewelry sales. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the ability to heal the marine environment with the help of sustainable pearl farming. So this is our chance to do tikkun on the world. Thank you very much.